Welcome to the Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Raquel. This podcast is to help you experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Now, as I do every week, let me add my disclaimer so I don't get any phone calls and messages. I'm not an evangelist, preacher, prophet, or Bible scholar. I'm a God-worshiping, Jesus-loving, Bible-believing, New Thought Christian who believes that God blesses us according to our faith and how we work his principles. So if you're ready to be encouraged and grow your faith by hearing how God is blessing his children, then you're in the right place. I'm broadcasting on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, a nonprofit charitable radio broadcast with the mission to empower, encourage, and educate. Donations are always welcome to help further the mission. You can donate at www.wytv7.org. So this is the last of November, and my guests, I have two guests today. They're both millennials because we are highlighting millennial men. And today we're talking about evolving masculinity for in music, and I guess just in general. So I have with me Fourth Note, who's an R&B artist and an airman in the Air Force. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. And I also have Larenz. He's coming back. That is my child, my millennial. Thank you for coming back, Larenz.
No problem. Glad to be.
Okay. So we're going to just jump right in. And then we'll talk. I'll make sure we get to talk about your music, Fourth Note, at the end of the broadcast, okay? Because we're going to jump right in. I'm so excited about this topic. I read an article, Pharrell's article in GQ magazine, and it was about evolving masculinity. Now, for the millennials, because I believe this is why it's evolving, because of you millennials. What is masculinity to you? Fourth Note, you take the first.
Masculinity. I guess in my own definition, it's always been reverse of what I thought it was. So anytime it was, being cowardly and cocky, it's really the complete opposite. It's being humble and being quiet. And like that's what a wise man does. And that shows that you don't feel like you need to compete with others because you're already confident in yourself. So you don't need to be doing all that. So it's really just being quiet and humble. And that's kind of something I'm still trying to learn.
Well, that's deep because you said it grew. So before, what did you think it was? Being masculine was what?
Extremely cocky, like almost to the point where it's like you're almost lying to yourself about how confident you are about something. Or, I mean, that's kind of how my dad is a little bit. Not to throw any shade or anything, but sometimes I get narcissistic tendencies from, I guess, the things that I grew up with. But it's just trying to learn how to get out of that, especially since I'm older now. So. Wow,
that's deep. So you just went straight into how yours evolved from cocky, narcissistic is what you thought masculinity was, to more quiet, reserved, and just confident. I love it. Larenz, what do you think masculinity is?
Yeah, I have to agree with Walter, with Fourth Note, that definitely having that humility about yourself, and the self-confidence for real. That self-confidence is a big part, I think, in masculinity, where it's not about how we look. It's really about the actions that we do. I think being masculine is about how people really see you and see how you are in yourself. So if you have that self-confidence, like, hey, I'm still going to handle my business. Doesn't matter if I'm wearing, this or that, but I'm handling my business as a man should. I think that's masculinity.
You know what? It's so deep that both of what you guys, to me, kind of defined was manhood.
Yeah.
And so my question is there a difference between manhood and masculinity? And let me just go back real quick, because masculine, when I think of masculine, I think of strength. But then I'm like, well, I'm a woman, I'm strong. But then you have some women, they that kind of is their masculine side. Do they have to be strong because there is no man. When there's a man around, I don't even try to open up a jar. I'm like, that's, masculine. And then I may be wrong. I'm just saying, like, the strength, and even like when you think about the dress, like, seriously, in our society, there is a more masculine, like Hillary Clinton. She used to wear the pantsuits all the time, and people were saying how masculine that was, as opposed to more feminine, with her wearing a dress. So in that sense, where we have like the Pharrell GQ magazine cover, he had on this like huge coat that looked like a kind of a dress.
Yep.
My friend Tammy said it looked like a big old comforter to her, but it was like this big old dress looking thing. And, and when you look at it, typically you were like, that's not very masculine in our society in America. Would you agree?
I think that, like, you're trying to get at, that whole definition of masculinity is definitely changing. Because before it used to be like, you're wearing girly clothes. That's not, but I think not only Pharrell, but you have Young Thug, who was seen wearing a dress on one of his album covers. You got
Lil B. He wears a little church hat.
Yep, he did. Yep, he did that. And then David Smith. Yeah, that's the biggest one. He really made it kind of popular, and they all got a lot of flack from it. But I think when Pharrell did it, because we know who Pharrell is, and he's like super duper in the game, it's just like, but no one was able to articulate it the same way that he did.
So fourth note, you are an emerging new artist. Would you wear something that would, not necessarily a dress, but would you wear something that's more feminine? Say like you found a sweater that in the women's section, but you, like in Pharrell say in his article, he was like, I could pull that off, so it's not like, would you do something like that?
So that's actually, yeah. So that is something I've been trying out recently, where it's just like, I'll just be looking through what's been popular recently, Burlington, and whatever I see that looks nice. I got this nice MTV hoodie. It was a girl's one, but it was in 2X. I was like, it's a little short, but it's like, I really feel like I could pull it off. You get the right outfit together. And I feel like what really stems from just like not really caring about that so much is there's a big masculine culture from where I'm from. So I'm from Hawaii, if you guys don't know. So a lot of it is very traditional, very old school. So whatever America was doing, 20, 30 years ago, that's kind of what they're doing now. So they're just kind of picking up. But I guess somebody that looks like who could never have their confidence broken was Prince. Like you look at the way he combined his masculinity and femininity together, and he had everybody on him, that unbreakable confidence. And that's kind of what, if I can, it is religion. So if I can touch in what God wants me to be, it's whatever he created me to be. So that's where confidence comes from.
Yes, I like that.
That's like the biggest model right there.
Your culture, like the Hawaiian culture, don't they wear like traditional, what might look like a skirt to most dudes in America?
Oh right, yeah. But the attitude of it is still, it still might be a little bit what is the word when it's like it's like against homosexuality? What is the word?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like we talk about people who like wear skirts or stuff. We have, Scotsmen who wear kilts. We have, Tongan, Samoan, and the Islander cultures who wear these like war robes that are literally just robes that wrap around. We see a lot of pictures of Egypt where they were wearing these kind of things. So,
and in Africa, the African warriors wore the.
Yep.
It might just be our American culture with that, because you look everywhere else, like what you're saying, you do see, like the skirts or what might appear to look like a skirt or a dress.
And it's really interesting that a lot of those that was their warrior get up. Yeah. So it was not just, regular men. These were your warriors. These were your hyper masculine men wearing these skirt-like things. But now in today's society in America, when a man puts on a skirt, we want to say he's not a man, or he's, you know, and I'm just like, that has nothing to do with it. I'm a mother of a son. I didn't dress my child in skirts.
I'm not wearing a skirt.
Right. But
I mean,
like you said, going to the store and you find a sweatshirt in the women's section that you like, I could pull this off. I don't have no problem with that. I go to the men's section sometimes and look at sweatshirts and sweaters and be like, I can pull this off. Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting what you guys are saying. So let's talk about like so some people believe that we are hostile in America toward masculinity, like with the Me Too movement. And I'm just gonna give my opinion, and I want to know what you guys' opinion is. We have toxic masculinity in America to me right now. You have and that's why the Me Too movement came up, because some men felt like it was okay because they were men to touch women, to treat women as objects. I mean, just even the violence, like it's okay for boys will be boys, like it's okay for y'all to fight and wrestle, play with guns and all that stuff. But we have a problem in America that too many of these guys are going out shooting and, shooting up places. And so do we think that maybe if there is a toxic masculinity that needs to be broken and masculinity actually really needs to evolve?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. It's almost just another American trait of overdoing. There's so much excess of it. It's like it don't have to go that far. And I think something that you were trying to touch on earlier was that masculinity as well as femininity it's a ebb and flow that we have a balance of, because women can be masculine as well as men can interact with their more feminine side as well. But it's all about having the right balance for you. Because it's okay to cry. I mean, I'm a big believer in that. When the time comes, you don't have to cry all the time, because that's just, nobody can be crying all the time. But to be able to, go within yourself and know that that's what you need, I think that's more masculine than anything. Knowing that in order for your health and your sanity, that it's okay to cry when you need to. But I definitely think right now we have an over masculinity problem where people are trying to either overprove their masculinity by doing certain acts that really don't benefit anyone, or we see people killing themselves because that people make them feel like they're not masculine enough. And so I think that's like huge.
What do you think, Fourth Note?
I agree with that part, being overly excessive. I think part of the evolution is that it needs to be controlled. So I feel like with naturally how we are as men, when we're walking down the side of the street, it can be a little awkward. And I feel like part of it too is that we naturally have a very defensive kind of protective spirit, especially if we're like with our girl or something, or with a child or something. We're very protective, and that's just our nature. But it's not about walking out with your chest all puffed up and, mean mugging people. You greet them with a smile and everything and be kind to people, because then that's just being cowardly. You're the one starting the problem. You know what I mean? So it's what he said, keeping in touch and not getting too carried away with being like, a whiner, being, or being overly cocky. So it just needs to be controlled.
Right. So I have a question, because Larenz was raised by his mother and grandmother. Fourth Note, your parents were divorced when you were 10, so you were basically raised with your mother. Do you think that some of the whole evolving masculinity has anything to do with fathers not being in the homes with their sons?
Fourth Note, I'm gonna let you take that one first.
right. Well, I feel like for me, kind of, yeah. So the way I grew up with him was it was always about, you know, like kind of narcissism. So anything that made you have to feel like you prove yourself, that's what I kind of grew up doing. And then when he left, it was a period where I missed him so bad. I don't really remember those years. But after that, I felt like I had so much freedom to be exactly who I wanted to be, because my mama let me do whatever, as long as I wasn't being stupid. But like, you know, I really felt like I got to be free with him not being there. So I felt like if he actually was, I would have grown up a lot more toxic. So everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Okay, so Larenz, you didn't want to answer, but what do you think?
It's not that I didn't want to answer. I just, you know, growing up with y'all, I never felt a lack of masculinity within myself. Then again, I was kind of born weird. You tell me stories all the time where I kind of value men's opinion over women's opinions when I was young.
Yes. Oh my gosh, my child was horrible. He was like a male chauvinist at like 3.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I could say one thing and he would not listen. If a man told him the same thing, he would be like, "Oh, okay." And then I remember having him out playing basketball, and I shot the 3-pointer. He was like, "How do you know how to do that? You're a girl." Why were you? I mean, like that was inbred in you, huh?
And I mean, it's crazy how that. I was young, wasn't really impressed upon by anyone about that. It just was how I thought, which is really crazy to me. But I'm glad I grew up. And I know better now. But I think my masculinity growing up without a father figure inside of the house had a lot to do with it. But also it made me watch and observe other men in my life a whole lot closer. And just trying to depict like what makes them a man, how can I be like them, and having a lot of those kind of like mentors and stuff helped a lot. Having my grandfather around definitely showed me what being a man and what masculinity looked like, whether it was just paying for the bill or, you know, sliding his grandson a couple of dollars every once in a while. Watching my Uncle Scott and like seeing how he operated when people were over his house, just the way that he commanded a room. I think that was super masculine, and something that I learned. It's like when I'm in the room, even if I'm not saying anything, people should be aware of my presence. Like, boom, that's like huge.
That is.
So, yeah, I think not having that male person in my immediate home, it just made me reach out a little bit more and just observe. So I can definitely understand how we have such a toxic environment now if someone doesn't have the right, you know, the right people around them to fill the void that they have. And it can be detrimental.
So what I'm hearing is mentorship is very important.
Yeah.
In the whole masculinity, and not just masculinity, but just being a man, because what it means to be a man, like you said, because I think that I said that masculinity, paying the bills, is masculine. It's just that manhood, just like, I got it. I'm gonna take care of you. I can cover you. Like you making sure people are aware of you. You know, that's pretty dope. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe that's more manhood and not masculinity. And then maybe that in America, we need to stop dwelling on masculinity and really start focusing on what it means to be a man. And your son can still be a man if he chooses to wear a female sweater or even a dress or a long coat like his mother, because he thinks it looks cool and he can pull it off. And so I'm like, I wonder if that whole evolving masculinity is us evolving into the understanding that we all can, like you said, have some feminine and some masculinity, have some feminine and masculine traits, but I'm a woman, you're a man, and how we dress has nothing to do with it. It's how we act, how we think, how we behave, how we care for one another.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that is it. So wait, you know what? I want to go real quick back to, because I'm a little older now, and as we get older, you know, our bodies get a little bit bigger. So you know how women, we wear Spanx to try to cover, you know, hold in ourselves. Should men wear Spanx to hold in their stomachs?
No.
That's so mean. Fortno, what you think?
I disagree.
You think they should, huh?
I mean, listen. I mean, because what if you trying to pull off a look, but then you gotta, like, not to be rude, but like if you have a muffin top, it doesn't complete the look. So you kind of want to have it tucked in. You know what I mean?
No.
So
Right.
maybe you don't have to wear the Spanx if you don't, because I feel like that'd be uncomfortable for our male parts.
Well,
but
like a girdle, but a girdle. You know, a girdle, like a T-shirt that's compressed.
The compression shirt.
It's still funny. It's
Not
funny.
a girdle, not that goes to cover your private, but you know, for
Oh, they have those. They have the compression shirts. Oh God. I think they're terrible.
But why do you think that? Is because you're 25 and you just gonna work out?
Just work out. Work out.
Hey.
Make the right choices.
But you wouldn't tell a
Hydrate
woman.
yourself.
But would you tell a woman the same thing, Larenz?
We're talking about men.
No, but I'm just saying. But would you tell a woman the same thing? Just work out, don't wear the girdle.
I'm not asking her to wear the girdle in the first place.
Okay. So you just think girdles are just throw them out.
Throw them out. It's a
Throw 'em
lot.
out.
It's
Drink
a lot.
green juices and exercise.
Yeah,
Everybody.
I'm like, don't lie to us. Don't lie to yourself.
Hey. Well, that I feel like, okay, it partially is lying to yourself, but I mean, like, in such a negative light. You know what I mean? Like, granted, maybe they got some. It's almost like creating an excuse to not work out. But if they really want to work out, they would work out, and they will get the body they want. But for now, as a temporary fix, thank you to whoever made it. They're making millions.
Nah, I don't like you for it. No, Larenz is just hard. He get that from his dad. No, that's that Uncle Scott coming out of him. That's crazy. Okay, so we only got about 10 minutes left. It went by fast. So fourth note, tell everybody about your music.
Music, okay. So, I guess background. So I grew up with playing the piano. My daddy taught me when I was 6 years old, and then until he left. Well, I guess 8, because after that he stopped really paying attention. So I started doing my own thing, doing whatever he was teaching me. And then later on, I think when I was in middle school, I was watching a lot of videos where Kanye West was producing like a beat. And I was like, that is the coolest thing, because I've never seen the behind the scenes process. I thought it just happened, right? I didn't know how it became. So then I was really interested in it, and my piano was really fancy. So I started producing onto my piano. Then 2 years later, I started producing on a computer, which my mom bought me because I begged her to get it for me. Then I started bringing other artists in, and I started producing their sound. So kind of what Larenz is doing, except I let them have a lot more freedom because I didn't really know what I was doing yet. Mm-hmm. So I was just being the producer behind the tracks and showing them how to really get around it so it sounds good. Then I went to the Air Force, and they were like, you should probably start singing yourself. And I was like, it's kind of whack, but I'll try. And I started doing that. I started doing the rap thing. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have the greatest rap voice, but my singing voice is pretty. I like the way it sounds. So I started doing that. And now it's like I'm really trying to focus in on like developing my sound and who I am. Because before I was all over the place. I just knew I wanted to make good music. But now I'm like trying to focus in what kind of vibe do I attach to the most. So that's kind of where I am with my music. But I mean, you can find me on SoundCloud. You can find me on Spotify, iTunes, pretty much any service. But yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, Larenz shouted you out last week.
He did. Thank you.
Yeah. We're making moves. We're making big moves.
Right. So I know you're going to Hawaii. You've been invited to Hawaii.
You are.
You were invited. You were. Aren't you gonna have a concert in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah.
January 17th.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
And is it what kind of, is it a big place? Is it, you know?
I think it's smaller. So it's this place called Hawaiian Brian's. It's a popular spot. But it's not one of those like not stadiums. What do they call them? Theater? It's not one of those theaters. It's more like just a kind of a cool spot to perform.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but yeah.
Well, that's cool. Congratulations on that.
My first show in Hawaii. Yeah.
You say what? That's your first
show in Hawaii.
Oh wow, that's kind of dope.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And look, I hope to go and I want to go.
I know you need to come back.
Right. So we have about a few more minutes left. And I just wanted to say to both of you and all the millennial men out there that I'm so proud of you all. And that I'm glad that you, obviously both of you have already evolved in your thinking as far as what masculinity and manhood means, that you aren't buying into, you know, craziness that a lot of people are buying into. You aren't, you know, thinking that you are less than a man because you were raised by your mothers. Thank you for that. You know, and so it's really, for me, it's refreshing to see that, because we hear a lot of stories about men that are out there shooting, you know, gangs and all that stuff. And it's nice to hear that there are men out there who are doing the thing, you know, following their dreams and are very sensitive to who they are and not letting the society tell them who they should be. So I applaud you. And do you have, in the last few minutes, do you have, each of you, what would you say to other millennial men like you?
Just keep working, keep striving, keep goals, keep reaching for those goals. Man, just don't be scared for people to feel like you aren't where you are. Don't let people tell you that, oh, you're still there. Yeah, because I have a plan, and this is just where I am right now. And just really standing on your 2 feet and saying, like, I made these choices, I'm going with these choices, and I'm doing what I got to do to get to where I want to be.
Fourth note?
I guess always put the people that you love, and especially yourself, first. You know, I feel like with a lot of the masculinity problems comes a lot of insecurity, because you're not like 100% sure of who you are, and that's part of the problem. So stay confident in what you're doing. I don't know, I try to be very supportive of everyone and what their dreams are, what their goals are, especially if it's something that will really help them out, you know. So it's just being positive to another brother and, you know, uplifting them. Like, there was this one, it was like a video clip of these 2 young basketball kids, and, you know, he missed a shot, and then, like, he had his head down, his brother came by, and he lifted his head, like, keep your head high, like, don't worry about it. And I was like, the people will be afraid to be doing that, like, oh, don't touch me, that's gay. But he's like, he just uplifted him, like, keep your head up, let's get back. So it was like, that was cool. That was really cool. But keep your head up.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too, though, is like, don't be afraid to help each other emotionally in the fear that someone else is going to think that you're not who you say you are.
Yeah. Like,
don't make being able to be emotional with another man make you homosexual. That's not how it works.
Right.
Yeah. We all going to be crazy because we ain't trying to help each other mentally and emotionally. Yeah. So, yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
That's real huge. That's real huge. And I hope that people really get that. And, you know, in mothers and fathers of raising their sons, let them cry. You know, let them play with their sisters, even if that means that they're playing with dolls or playing in the little kitchen and let them play with their sisters, because then they work to get well with women. So when they get older in the workplace, they know how to work with women, or when they're fathers and they're married, they know how to help out at home with and be good husbands. So we have to like really let go of a lot of the bull that we are placing on our children, especially our men children, and let them know that God loves them and just the way they are. So you guys, thank you so much. We are running out of time. You guys have been awesome. And today's podcast is sponsored by Tolson's Publishing. We publish books to make you think about what you think about. And I will see you next week. And until then, remember, what God has done for others, He will do the same thing for you. Everybody, be blessed.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Yeah. Yeah.